Now we just need to do the top part. If I Alt-tap this dress and then do Shift-D, we can kind of look at the geometry, and it looks like it's got a nice ring around it already, and then we'd probably have to build some stuff in here manually. Let's do something a little bit different with this one. Let's hit D to go into Dynamic Preview. Let's go into Insert, ZSphere. So I'm going to have this one showing. I want just the dress and the ZSphere showing. So I'm going to, with the dress selected, if I hit the eyeball, that turns all the eyeballs off. And if I touch the eyeball for the ZSphere, now I have my dress and my ZSphere. Now the problem is if I click the ZSphere, the dress is going to disappear because I turned the eyeball off for it. You can just turn that on, and now we just got these two showing. Alternatively, if you have everything off and you turn on the ZSphere, you just click the name tag. That'll just turn the eyeball just on without having to touch the eyeball. So with these selected, what I'm going to do is take this ZSphere. I'm going to go all the way down here, and I'm going to go to, with the ZSphere selected, I'm going to go to Open Adaptive Skin and open up Topology. Then we're going to go into Edit Topology mode. So now I'm going to be drawing topology with the ZSphere, and Adaptive Skin Preview I'll get to in a second. So basically what I'm going to do is just draw on topology. Now with the ZSphere selected, I'm going to hit X to go across X symmetry because it is symmetrical. And if I just click on this mesh, it's going to give me a dot. If I click on the mesh again, it's going to give me another dot, another dot, another dot, another dot. What I'm basically going to do is chain together these dots to make geometry. In order to see these dots a little bit better, I'm going to go and make this a darker color. If yours isn't cooperating, just make sure you have the little paintbrush turned off, or else it's going to not allow you to do that. You'd have to fill it with that color. So I'm going to make it a little bit darker. I'm just going to continue this up. So I'm going to go up and over and around like so, just clicking. And this is just basic ZSphere retopology. I've done a number of videos on it. So if I click here, so I tapped off because I want to restart from a different position. So I'm going to tap here to start here again. And I'm just going to kind of look at my reference, and it looks like it goes quite a bit down. So I'm just going to make a chain down here. Maybe not down that far. So I'm going to hold down Alt and tap that last one to delete it. Tap off in my document to restart. Tap here, and it looks like it kind of goes up and then back in, and then back up again, and then all the way around to the back here. And I'm just kind of looking at these dots and kind of just matching them. So when I go and connect them together, they'll match up and have nice geometry. So going around to the back, I tap off here, and then I'll tap on this one again just to make sure that's where I'm starting from. And then I'll just keep tapping here. And then towards the back, it kind of swoops down and around and out, and then back up. And then finally out, and then down, and then I'll just go back up and connect. So now I need to connect these things. So I'm going to tap off. I'm going to tap here to start here. I'm just going to tap this one and then go back to this one. I'm just going to go back and forth and connect these points here. If you ever start here and you're like, oh, you know what? I want to start here. And you just tap, it's going to want to connect that last point. Undo, tap off to reset, and then tap one, tap the other one, tap one, tap the other one. Again, just basic ZSphere retopologizing here. And then we'll tap this one. And again, I tapped off. And then we'll tap this one, tap off, tap this one. And if you want to move anything, just go hit W to go into move mode, and you can just move those. It'll automatically snap to the underlying mesh. So you can just move them like so. Okay, so that's basically our shape. And let's hit Q to go back into draw mode here. And we'll tap up here. Oops, we already had a dot there. So we'll tap here, here, and here. And then start from the middle and go out. ZBrush seems to behave a little bit better. Hit W to move these things up just a bit. And then we'll just tap in the middle and out. Move these up, move these down. And I'm just eyeballing this. I didn't bring in, I do have my reference, so I hit Z. And then Z again to go out of widget mode. And then, I don't remember if I saved to camera view or not, but we can just kind of eyeball it and see how close it is. But I'll go ahead and make geometry with it and then move these things into place as needed. So I'll hit Shift Z. Now geometry, let's talk about that. So remember when I said we were going to open up the adaptive skin menu. If I hit A, that's going to give us a geometry preview. I can't really see it that well, so I'm going to hit solo, and that's what it looks like. Now you're going to see it kind of looks like it's subdivided already, because it is. We have a density of 2. If you drop that density down to 1, these are only the polygons we've drawn on there. So if we like this, we can hit A to go out of adaptive skin mode. So if we do like this geometry and we want to keep it, go ahead and hit this Make Adaptive Skin button. And what that's going to do is throw out a thing called Skin ZSphere in your tool menu, just kind of floating out here. So let's go ahead and with the ZSphere selected, do Insert, and just grab that Skin ZSphere. So now we have our skin Z-sphere. So this is actually topology. This is still a Z-sphere. So if we're in solo mode and we hit A, we have all the Z-sphere stuff. We can go in here and hold down Alt and do all sorts of Z-sphere creation stuff. If we don't need this anymore, let's go ahead and delete it just so we don't get confused. Because that can be confusing if you have a Z-sphere in adaptive skin mode. It looks like geometry, but it's not actually geometry. You might grab the wrong one. So now we know all that we have left in here is skin Z-sphere. It's polygons. First thing you're going to want to do is hit X to turn on X symmetry, because it won't keep that by default. It just, this is a fresh brand new mesh here. Go out of solo mode. Let's go ahead and go down to our deformation menu here, and we'll just give that a little bit of an inflate just so we can see it. Give it an inflate of like 5. Just kind of pop that out there, and then we'll go back to a white color, and we'll go make sure everything's turned on. Now to turn everything on, I'm going to first turn, I have a subtool select, I'm going to turn off the eyeball. That turns off all the eyeballs. Now if I have so if I collect these names, I can go through and touch the subtools without selecting the eyeball. So anything that's selected without the eyeball turned on, if I turn it on, it'll turn on all the eyeballs. Now we can Alt tap this one, and this is the one we're using now. So I'll hit Shift Z, and I'll go through here and I'll just kind of line her up a little bit. And we'll make sure that this is down far enough and then up over far enough. And it looks like this needs to come down quite a bit. And then for her back, that's actually pretty close. Looks like. Maybe pull this down a little bit further. Good enough. Okay, so we need to do a little bit of maneuvering on this thing. So I'm going to grab my move brush and kind of pull this down, because this is like a little smoother, thicker transition down to here. And then this is a pretty tight transition here. Okay, so now that we have that border drawn on and our back, these look pretty good. This one might smooth a little bit weird. Actually, I'm going to grab this point and do another bridge 2 points and just kind of cut across here. Okay, looking good. So let's give this thing a little bit of thickness. We can do it just like we did the other dress border for the bottom. So I'm just going to get my QMesh brush, or my Z modeler brush, sorry, and then QMesh polygroup all, just kind of pull out. Give it a little bit of thickness. You can see it's kind of separated down here on the side, so I'm going to go into solo mode here, grab this inner polygroup, start Q-meshing it in, and then hold down Shift, and that'll just kind of pull in along those surface normals. Again, just give us a little bit more room to play with. We can do a quick geometry crease, PG, to crease those polygroups. Hit D to get your preview, and you'll see that, okay, it didn't keep my sharp edges. Just go here to the crease tolerance, drop that down to like 42, and that'll go ahead and crease those sharp corners for you. Now you're going to see it's kind of pinching along these areas here. You can ignore that and polish it later. One thing you can try to do is hit Shift D, hover over a face, do an inset, and do polygroup all. And if you just do that, it's going to want to inset each polygroup or polyface individually. So you'll need to turn on region. Hit Shift D, and now you can insert and just kind of get an edge loop along here. Now you're probably going to want to go through and like collapse these things here, but that'll kind of ease that transition so it doesn't pinch quite so bad. But I'm going to skip that for now, and because we can just clean that up later. So I'll do another. I'll get back my crease tolerance here. There we go. Because we can clean this up, this pinching up later. Not a big deal at all. And if you see one that was creased that you don't want creased, just go in your Z modeler brush, hover over an edge here with crease, and then hold down Alt, and that'll uncrease it. Okay, so looking pretty good, and you can try and clean this up with H-polish if you want to. Just kind of H-polish these points back. And again, we have dynamic preview turned on, so if you hit Shift D, you can see what it's actually doing to your polygons to get you that result. But that's useful. And then we can go in here with our move brush and just equalize out some of these areas so it's a relatively uniform distance between. Looking pretty good. Okay, so we've got her line here. She doesn't have a line down her dress here, but we'll figure that out later. And then we've got her face and her arms and her dress, and her hair is going to have to be figured out. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and put that jewel on her.